Hey everyone, just testing this out right now. We'll get started shortly because I know quite a few people have been asking, "Hey Robert, how come I can't get college baseball data in Baseball R?" So the data, um, decided, "Hey, we're gonna." Let me check, just make sure everything's good to go. There we go. Okay, so a lot of people have been asking why or how come I can't get the baseball data in R anymore, right? So, um, which is fine. I'm just saying as a heads up. There's been site changes to the baseball R, or I guess the way they get the college baseball stats. So, what I did is create a package that allows for that opportunity to be able to get that information. So, like, I'll show you right now what it would look like. So, we load in Baseball R, and then we just do, like, NCAA stats, right? And so as I'm doing this, right, so we have NCAA stats, or I think it's NCAA stats, or NCAA team player stats, we'll say. Do the team ID 736 is Vanderbilt, and the year is 2024, right? So we run it, it's loading. And you get this data, which is great. So we have the team ID, so on and so forth. But I know with some, it might be an issue. So I know someone says some of their functions are broken, right? And that's fine. So like we can say NCAA schedule info. Let's try that, right? So 7/36/2024. And it's giving, no data. And then roster, we could probably try. So yeah, we get rosters. There's minor fixes, so it gets those player IDs, pulls that info. Looks like these player IDs are slightly different nowadays, which sucks because it's a lot. So when you see this in the future, it'll be a lot harder for player IDs to be gandered at in the future. So we need to adjust for that. So we have a little bit there, a little bit there, and I'm fine with it. So, excuse me. So anyways, back to it. So you can get the roster, and looks like you get, a decent amount of information, plus like the roster's kind of a little messed up here. We're kind of limited on stats too, which is fine. Because you can see here, like, for the batting average column, it shifted over. So, what I did, we'll restart R, so that way we can mask that, is I created a package that allows you to get college baseball data. And the easiest way to do it is running devtools install _ GitHub, and then my name, Robert-Fry / baseball, or not baseball, college baseball. And I'll just say force equals true so I can show you what that would look like. So I'm re-downloading the data, or installing the package for you, so it should run, shouldn't take too long, if at all. There you go. And then what we can do with this is then call our library college baseball. And what we can do is get stats from there. So, but first, the team IDs actually changed. So all you have to do is look up a school ID. So we'll say like Tennessee. And then my argument compared to baseball R is it asks for a year because it changes every year. So you see the team ID, but then I have a column called the previous team ID, just in case if they ever go back to that, the code can arrange for that. So gets all the same information. So the season ID is the same, division, conference ID is the same, team name. And then you have the team ID, and then you have the previous team ID again, and that's in the old code that gets the previous team ID because it has changed quite a bit. So let me see if I can pull up this NCAA stats page and bring it onto here. So when you go to Tennessee's page, no baseball, go 2024, and now the ID essentially becomes this instead of what it was in the past, which was 694. That doesn't mean it's going away because it does apply. In other situations, and I'm trying to think of one where it does apply, but so the ID has just became a little bit different now. So let's go to team history. So see, when I click on this, the old URL, or I guess the old team ID appears. But in the data set, it's still available either way. So that way, if that those new IDs don't work, you can still use this team ID. So when we go back into R, we can do, I'll just say 10E for short, NCAA stats, and the team ID. Now that we know Tennessee's is 754226, we'll add that in there. Year 2024. We'll leave our type to equal batting. Now we run that. Takes a little bit longer, but still pulls the data. And now we have height, we have bat throw for not every team. I'm sure the bigger schools will have a bat throw, but now we have a team ID, a conference ID, a player ID. And again, it sucks because it changes year by year. So, like Christian Moore in 2023, his player ID will look different than compared to 2024. And I can show you that. So, let's say Tenny, dplyr, filter, player name equals Christian Moore. And then we'll just say dplyr pull player ID. Make sure that's the right column. Player ID. Yep. So let me add in dplyr in the libraries. And it'll give you messages, so on and so forth. But it's not an error. So then I run this, and you can see his player ID in 2024 is 8281448 for Christian Moore. But when you run Tennessee's data for 2023, so you have your team ID is 548305. So see, it changes every year now, and we have to adjust for that. So 548305, and the previous year is 2023. Run it. Give it a second or two to run. Now we pull the same data, but then when we look at Christian Moore, so his 2024 team ID was again 8281448. But now his ID is 7831204. So that's something you have to be wary of. And I'm thinking of ways. I have code somewhere. It's possible that I can probably I might either create my own player ID system or really dig through the NCAA stats archives and find player IDs that actually match. But this is how you would get stats. Again, download the college baseball package by running this code, taking out the comment. So DevTools install _ GitHub, my name, college baseball. And it gets you some neat information. So that's kind of like the basic stats you can get, but you can get available Savant games for college baseball. So I'll just call this HH, call it whatever you want. And so what this pulls from is from 2017 until this past season, some games will have StatCast data available. And so you can pull that StatCast data. But, however, some games may not. I want to double check because some, I'm pretty sure the Salt River Fields at Talking Stick don't. Brazel Field at GCU Ballpark will not. Sloan Park, I don't believe, has it either. So I will make sure to double check that and re-upload for you guys. But this allows you to create or get StatCast data. So then you can say oh, what's a game from 2024 that you might have some interest. I'm trying to think of the Chase Burns game that had data. It might have been Wake Forest, Florida State. Or it might have been Wake Forest, North Carolina, actually. So I get that game PK. And I can say like Wake, UNC, we'll call it. We'll use the college baseball package, and we'll say StatCast PBB College. Then we'll run this 6-digit code. It gets the game PK. Give it a second or two to run. And then you have StatCast data for that game. So you get Chase Sprague, you get Chase Burns' data from Wake Forest. And again, this is only for a limited amount of games. It's not for every single team. Some places will have StatCast data. So, like, one advantage that we have is, like, okay, you have the Las Vegas ballpark. So, like, all the AAA fields that teams may play at, there's likely to be StatCast data now because every AAA field has StatCast. So, like, one example is Las Vegas ballpark. Smith's ballpark, which is also the home ballpark of Utah. So really, we have mostly Utah data because that's their home field. But then if you go to other places like Durham Bulls Athletic Park, AAA for Durham, they'll have StatCast data. Your typical Globe Life field, StatCast data. Trias field, again, AAA field, StatCast data. Baycare Ballpark does have StatCast data, though it's not a AAA field. I want to say it's either a high A or a rookie league field, but it does have StatCast data when you play there. And the American Athletic Conference tournament was there, so we got StatCast data for those. What are some other places like PNC, West Virginia, and Pittsburgh? They played there, so there's data there. Dodger Stadium, though. I think they took it down. Let's check. So we'll check one of these games. Because realistically, even though it may be played at an MLB stadium, looks like the data's still there. Cool. So it gives you all the StatCast data, but it gives you like different columns to what you may be used to with StatCast data. Because again, like if you go through the columns on Baseball Savant, exit velocity is listed as like launch speed, whereas this has two columns, so it's rounded hit speed and then just hit speed with a decimal. And then we have a player name, we have hit distance, XBA, hit angle, barrel, hit coordinate X, hit coordinate X in feet, and then hit coordinate Y, and then hit coordinate Y in feet. And then here's an interesting one too with the data that's in there. If it's played at an MLB ballpark, it'll tell you how many ballparks would have had that as a home run. Now, you see the column bat speed. There's some bat speed. But not a whole lot. A lot of missing data with bat speed. Just be wary of it. Don't expect a lot of data with bat speed. But there is bat speed for college level games at a very limited level. And then it tells you if there's a runner on first, runner on second, runner on third, which I think is useful. Various other things. So game total pitches, what player, how many total pitches he has, from each pitch type, as well as this pitch number, ball and play out, and then there's this neat little column called is sword. And so we can calculate that, using false or true with is sword. So that's something really interesting to see. Something that is in here that isn't in your Baseball Savant StatCast data set is your induced vertical break. So the induced break Z. So the Statcast data set from MLB and AAA, so the minor leagues as well, it has this, but it doesn't have it for that particular viewing chip. And then you have your break X, break Z, and then your movement as well. But then it's saying like with gravity and then with gravity nice, which is essentially just rounding it. Then it shows you like the direction. It shows you PFX with gravity and then PFX with no absolute values, so it's not rounded, so it's not saying like, oh, this player got 16 inches of movement, this player got negatives, because it's based upon, again, catcher's view. So it's going in the negative direction. Or no. Yeah, catcher's view. It's going in the negative direction. And it even shows you like the type of direction that it's going in as well. So that's neat. Gets your acceleration, so your x0, y0, z0, x, a, y, a, z. Vx0, vy0, vz0. Your px and your pz. It's got your spin rate. It's got the zone that it's in, plate time. Your normal things. It's just might be slightly different in terms of column names. Extension, the bottom of the strike zone, the top of the strike zone. Start speed, end speed. Balls and strikes. Is strike swinging, pitch call, result code, description, pitch name, pitch type, call name, call, and then if you want to do like a previous thing, though, I think all the data matches up, so I don't think it really matters. But it's got strikes, balls, pre-strikes, pre-balls. Again, feel free to play with it however you want. Then you have events, the short description, result, team fielding ID, batting ID, team fielding, team batting, pitcher name, what hand they throw with, the batter name, what hand they're standing with, batter, outs, captivating index, which I'm not exactly sure what that column means, at bat number, inning. So it allows you to get all that. Play ID as well. So this would be useful at the major league level in terms of it'd be useful to get the like video of it, right? Because MLB has that video side of it. So this is kind of neat if you think about it. So it allows us to get, that kind of information, and you can get StatCast data for, again, all the games that are in here. So there's PvP available / StatCast available. I want to say we can go back to like Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. It won't have StatCast data, even though it says it does. And so we can run this test too, like StatCast PvP College, and then run that. So I think I missed a. Yeah, I missed a. And so I run it, and again, like it should give you an error because it doesn't exist. And it shouldn't exist because again, there's no StatCast data for that game. It's not played at a major league field. So I'll be sure to update these ones. That's like Salt River Fields at Talking Stick, Brazil Field, so on and so forth. Ooh, Wesley Barrows Stadium? Interesting. Wesley Barrow Stadium. I don't think it has that either. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll be sure to update this where it'll have play-by-play available, but maybe not StatCast available. So again, it only goes to Minute Maid, Dodger Stadium, Globe Life Park, which I thought there was a series that happened this season at Dodger Stadium. I'm pretty sure they took away the information, but I could be wrong. Prairie View and Alabama State at Holman Stadium. Okay, that's good to know, though. That allows us to understand what's going on. So, that's another added feature with college baseball. Again, I'm working on this. This is like a package in development, but it's available and out there for those who want to use it in R. So, think of another functionality that may not be available. PvP roster, those are the same. This might be slightly different. So we'll go NCAA roster. And it gives you. So what's different compared to the original one is it gives you their player name, what year and school on this boat. Don't expect it to be accurate. A general position, how many games they played, how many games they started, their number, height, their bats and throws. Again, it's not going to be available for every team, especially if you trickle down into what I'm more experienced in, which is the Division II baseball level. You're going to see some NAs there. Their hometown, again, same thing. Could see more NAs as you trickle down into lower level teams. High school, neat to see that. Their player ID, their player URL. And then I joined in the team ID of the year and then their previous team ID as well, just in case. So you have that information at your disposal as well. So we have those. Cancel. And you have this pretty much the same thing for teams, except you do have to specify a year. The default's just 2024, but it'll show you every D1, D2, and D3 baseball team in the year 2024, as well as their updated team IDs. And yeah, it still has the old team IDs as well. So that's another, I guess, added feature that's in college baseball that maybe isn't in baseball R. Team stats show you, game logs are pretty much the same. Also, you can get availability in terms of, you can get play-by-play data for Cape Cod as well. And what you can do here, and again, supporting, this is something you can do with baseball R. We'll just say like Cape game, right? you can do baseball R, MLB PvP, and then take a game PK. So we'll take the last one, which is between Harwich and Bourne. Run it. And you have raw play-by-play data. Again, there's no StatCast data for this, but it gives you rough pitch data coordinates, a rough strike zone top and bottom, certain players, descriptions, mostly the same thing, but again, just no StatCast data. So this is a good backup plan if you run this, and there's no StatCast data. So, for that last game that we did, you can run this and then be able to get that as well. And again, there shouldn't be any StatCast information since it wasn't played at a StatCast type field. But you can still kind of, again, get vast majority. So that's a good backup plan in terms of that. I'll probably just add functionality into it so that way you guys can see, or I should say everyone can analyze this data in some way, shape, form. We'll do college baseball. And so, yeah, it's pretty bare bones right now, but a lot of interesting stuff coming into the future for this package. Just wanted to be able to get it so that way people who are struggling with acquiring college baseball data, they don't have to worry about it now. So that, again, there's rosters, there's schedules. So again, we'll do Tennessee as the example. Run it. It should have all their games. Again, trying to match as much as I can to what Baseball R had, but it should show you year, season ID, team ID, date, home team ID, home team score, their conference, their division, away team, so on and so forth. Is it a neutral site? Win or loss? Like the basic slug, game info URL, a contest ID, so on and so forth. But it gets you that information. So it gets you that information, allows you to see certain things. Obviously, there's still kind of errors here and here because it again is parsing out tournaments. So we can try to get it and go from there. But it gets you mostly what you should have, which is then just different scores. And winning and losing scores. So, with that being said, and it gets you contest ID, so we can pull up play-by-play data. So let's do the national championship game. We can copy that and do natty PvP. NCAA PvP, and then just make this the game ID. And it gives you the raw play-by-play data. It gives you the game ID, inning, date, description, away team, home team, bat team, pitch team, so on and so forth. So pretty neat stuff. And again, that's just the raw basis of acquiring college baseball data. Again, more since we're in the off season, working on more stuff behind the scenes. Feel free to ask questions about it, and if you're interested in learning more, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. But if you enjoy this and want to support me and continue to push out this content, don't hesitate to buy me a coffee. The link is obviously at the bottom of this page right now. Feel free to send over your thanks. Again, I'm not pushing anyone to force them to do it, but hey, any type of tip is greatly appreciated, and it goes a long way. But anyway, so that in essence is a raw way to get certain data. So you get PvP College. So that way you can get StatCast data, though there might not be StatCast data available for most games. Again, it will just get an error fetched to you. Otherwise, you'll try other certain things. But thanks so much for watching. I'm just gonna cut it off here for about 40 or so minutes. Actually, you know what? Since Hank Jr.'s coming on, I gotta listen to Hank Jr. So I guess I'll give whoever's watching a little bit of bonus content for you. A little bit of bonus content for you. So what I'm working on right now is trying to get a way to acquire certain rosters. So each website has basically their own roster nowadays. You can see that doesn't work. So let's go ahead and open it up. And go. Let's try that. Just playing around with like different roster types. So we run this, we get data, and it is stemming from this. So I'm going to drag this over. So this roster that's down here is stemming from this roster here. Try to make it as big as I possibly can. But we can make it a list just to make it look easier. There's the team, the name, what year in school they are, position, number, bat throws, so on and so forth. I might add this into college baseball, but again, it's dealing with different kinds of sites, because if we mess with another site, so I'll leave this like here right now, and go to like, we'll say Stanford baseball roster, right? So it looks a little bit different. The unfortunate thing is, if I try doing it this way right now, let's do Stanford, right? You should get an error. And another way to kind of optimize this is, thankfully, they have an option where you can select a table. And maybe, just maybe, it allows you to scrape the table. So yeah, the year doesn't exist. But that'll be it from me on my end. I'm working on this again. That's just bonus stuff, but working on this, and hope you enjoy this stream. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions regarding college baseball. I know we're gonna start ramping up